Sonic is a character who looks like a simple villain at first, but the more you dig in, the more you realize he's actually one of the most tragic figures in the entire Sonic franchise. Welcome to the Metal Sonic bad future theory. So, who is Metal Sonic really? Surely he's just a robot built by Eggman to beat Sonic, right? Well, then why is Metal so obsessed with being the real Sonic? Also, why does his design look so different from Eggman's other robots? And in all of this, where does Sonic CD fit in? Let's start with Metal Sonic's obsession in the game Sonic Heroes. Metal Sonic transforms into Neo Metal Sonic and declares, "I am the real Sonic."
All living things kneel before your master.
He doesn't just want to beat Sonic, he wants to be Sonic. He wants to prove he's superior, but we don't see an actual reason for this obsession, just the obsession itself. This makes it easy to assume that Metal Sonic is just programmed to think he's better, that he's just following Eggman's orders. But Metal Sonic himself doesn't act like a mindless robot. This would mean that there's surely something deeper going on, right? Well, I should be more specific, in that Metal Sonic's first appearance wasn't in Sonic Heroes. His debut was in Sonic CD on the Sega CD in 1993. However, Sonic CD isn't just another Sonic game, it's the game that introduced time travel to the franchise. In Sonic CD, Sonic can travel to the past and future by hitting special signposts and maintaining high speed. The game has 3 time periods, past, present, and future. But here's where it gets interesting. The future has 2 versions, good future and bad future. If you destroy Eggman's robot generators in the past, you create a good future, bright, colorful nature thriving. But if you don't destroy them, you get a bad future, polluted, industrial, mechanical dystopia where Robotnik won. Looking at all the bad future zones, they all share a specific aesthetic. Cold, industrial, purple machinery, polluted skies, lifeless environments. Everything is mechanical and brutal. The bad future represents a world where Eggman completely conquered nature and turned everything into machines. Now look at Metal Sonic's design. He's cold and industrial. He's covered in purple and blue metallic plating. His eyes are lifeless red sensors. His entire body screams mechanical brutality. Apart from being a Sonic replica, Metal Sonic's designs perfectly match the bad future aesthetic. This would make Metal Sonic a product of the bad future timeline. He looks like he was built in that dystopian world where Eggman had unlimited time and resources. But if that's the case, then how can we explain Metal Sonic appearing in the present timeline? The best way to understand Metal Sonic would be through the theory that's been circulating the Sonic fandom for years. Metal Sonic was built in the bad future from Sonic CD, but now he's stuck in the past as his future no longer exists. And before we dive deeper into this theory, if you don't subscribe right now, I'm trapping you in a bad future timeline where all Sonic games are like Sonic 06. So hit that subscribe button before Eggman wins. We got way more deep dives into Sonic lore coming your way. With all that out of the way, we get to the hardest and most complicated part to explain: how Sonic CD's time travel actually works. In the game, when Sonic changes the past, he changes the future. This isn't just visiting different timelines, this is literally rewriting timelines. To figure out what this means for Metal Sonic, let's think about what happens when you create a good future. Looking at the game, we can see that the bad future zones are completely different from good future zones. They're not the same place at different times, they're alternate realities based on your actions. This would mean that when Sonic creates a good future, the bad future doesn't just not happen, it gets erased. It ceases to exist. The timeline where Eggman won, where Metal Sonic was built, where everything became mechanical, gone. If we look at Metal Sonic's debut in Sonic CD, he's already fully built and operational. He's not a prototype, he's not a work in progress. He's perfect. His speed matches Sonic's, his abilities are refined. This level of perfection would take years of research and development, but Eggman in the present timeline hasn't had years to study Sonic. However, Eggman in a bad future timeline, he's had decades, maybe even centuries, unlimited time to study Sonic, to perfect the design, to create the ultimate weapon. That's where Metal Sonic comes from. Something that always stood out, Eggman treats Metal Sonic differently than his other robots. The Egg Pawns, disposable. The E-Series, expendable. Even Mecha Sonic gets scrapped and replaced. But Metal Sonic, Eggman keeps bringing him back, keeps repairing him, keeps upgrading him. Why? Keep that question in mind. If Metal Sonic was built in the bad future and Sonic erased that timeline by creating a good future, then how does Metal Sonic still exist? This is where the theory gets really interesting. Look at Sonic CD's ending. We see that little planet leaves Earth's orbit after Sonic defeats Eggman. The game shows that certain things can exist outside of the timeline changes. Objects, people, and apparently robots that were already present can remain even if their original timeline gets erased. This would mean that Metal Sonic, who was brought back to the past by Eggman, is now stuck in a timeline where his home doesn't exist. He's a remnant of an erased future. He can't go back because there's nowhere to go back to. The world he was built in, the future where he was the dominant Sonic, is gone. To answer the question of how we know this is true, we have to look at where Metal Sonic appears in Sonic CD. He fights Sonic in Stardust Speedway, specifically in the Bad Future version of the zone. He doesn't appear in the Good Future version. He's literally a product of that bad future. Then in Sonic Mania, we see Metal Sonic return to Stardust Speedway for another race against Sonic. But what's interesting is that in Mania's Act 2 fight, Metal Sonic is fighting Sonic in the past version of Stardust Speedway, but he's using his present body. He even brings the Mini Sonic Projector, technology that didn't exist in that time period. This is crucial. Metal Sonic, a remnant from an erased bad future, is now traveling back to the past, to the time before the timeline split even happened. He's literally trying to return to the origin point, to Stardust Speedway where he first raced Sonic, where his existence began. In the Sonic Mania race, Metal Sonic is desperate to win. He transforms into different forms using the Mini Sonic Projector. He pushes himself to the limit with technology from the future. It's not just about beating Sonic, it's about reclaiming that moment, that first race. He's trying to rewrite history at the source. Looking at the Sonic CD remake from 2011, we get even more evidence. The game adds animated cutscenes that show Metal Sonic's creation. But here's what's interesting. The cutscenes show Eggman with advanced technology, creating Metal Sonic with extreme precision. This level of technology suggests years of development. Apart from that, the ending shows Little Planet disappearing after Sonic wins. The game explicitly shows that timeline is sealed off. Metal Sonic, who was brought into the past, can't return to where he came from. He's trapped. So what does this all mean for Metal Sonic? He's a character built in a future where Eggman won, where nature was destroyed, where machines dominated. He was created as the ultimate weapon in a world where he was needed, where he had purpose. But then Sonic changed the timeline, created a good future, erased the bad future, and Metal Sonic, who was already in the past, is now stuck in a timeline where his home doesn't exist, where the future he was built for will never happen, where his purpose is meaningless. This explains his obsession with Sonic. It's not just programming, it's not just orders from Eggman. Metal Sonic is fighting to prove that he's real, that he matters, that the timeline he came from was valid. He's fighting to justify his own existence. Knowing this theory, every Metal Sonic appearance takes on new meaning. In Sonic 4 Episode 2, Metal Sonic races Sonic again. He's not just trying to win, he's trying to prove he belongs in this timeline, that he's not just a relic of an erased future. In Sonic Rivals, Metal Sonic is collecting cards and data on Sonic. He's obsessed with studying Sonic, understanding Sonic, being Sonic. Because if he can prove he's the superior Sonic, then maybe his timeline was the correct one. Maybe he was supposed to win. Even in smaller appearances like Sonic Generations, Metal Sonic shows up specifically in locations tied to his past. He's drawn to these places, to these moments. He's trying to recreate something, to reclaim something that was taken from him. Going back to the theory, we now know that Metal Sonic is from an erased bad future timeline. But then how do we explain incidents like him gaining free will in Sonic Heroes? How can a robot from an erased timeline develop consciousness? The answer is tragic. Metal Sonic developed free will because his timeline was erased. He's not just following programming anymore. He's trying to create his own purpose. He's trying to prove he deserves to exist. He's fighting against being forgotten. In Sonic Heroes, when Metal Sonic rebels against Eggman and declares himself the real Sonic, he's not just malfunctioning. He's asserting his existence. He's saying, I'm not just a tool, I'm not just a remnant, I'm not just Eggman's trophy from a dead timeline. I am real. I matter. It seems that throughout the entire Sonic franchise, Metal Sonic's character has been consistent. He's obsessed with Sonic. He's desperate to prove himself. He refuses to be destroyed. And all of this makes sense when you realize he's fighting for validation of an existence that technically never happened. The only times Metal Sonic shows something resembling emotion are when he's losing to Sonic. In Sonic CD, when he loses the race, he crashes and explodes rather than just stopping. In Sonic Heroes, when he's defeated, he doesn't just shut down. He looks devastated. He's not just losing a battle, he's losing his reason to exist. So why does the Metal Sonic bad future theory work so well? Because it takes everything we know about Sonic CD's time travel, applies it to Metal Sonic's design and behavior, and creates a narrative that's actually tragic. Metal Sonic isn't just an evil robot. He's not just a villain who wants to beat the hero. He's a remnant of an erased timeline, fighting to prove that he's real, that he matters, that his existence has meaning. He's validating a future that doesn't exist anymore. And the most heartbreaking part, he can never win. Even if Metal Sonic defeats Sonic, he can't bring back the bad future. He can't return home. He can't reclaim what was taken from him. He's stuck fighting a battle he's already lost, trying to prove something that can never be proven. From his debut in Sonic CD to his appearances in Sonic Heroes and Mania, Metal Sonic's obsession with Sonic proves that he's more than just a robot. He's a tragic figure trapped between timelines. He's fighting for validation, for purpose, for existence. The Metal Sonic bad future theory transforms him from a simple villain into one of the most complex characters in the franchise. He's not evil, he's desperate. He's not mindless, he's purposeful. He's not just another Eggman creation, he's a survivor of an erased timeline, fighting to prove he deserves to exist. And here's the ultimate tragedy. Both Metal Sonic and Eggman are stuck validating a timeline that doesn't exist. Metal fights to prove he's real. Eggman keeps him around to prove he can win. Both are desperately clinging to evidence of a future that was erased. One as a survivor, one as a reminder of a victory that never happened. Metal Sonic is essentially a ghost from a timeline that never happened, forever stuck in the past, fighting to validate a future that will never exist.